Five.
I'm good. I'm good. Glad you're here. You missed my joke. I felt bad.
Well, I hate
Next time
missing it.
you're out, Nick is in the joke next time, you know, but it's all right.
All right. We can go ahead and just open it up for questions. If anything has anything for Coach B, just use your hand raise button. We'll call on you. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike. We hadn't really talked about Trey LaFleur all that much. I was going to get your thoughts on him, and he had a good weekend, and just what he's been working on, and what you've been seeing from him.
Just you're right. Had a tremendous weekend, probably the best weekend of everybody. Although a little, I think, uncharacteristic. Uh, Going off tangent a little bit, and I'll get back to Trey. Is that offensively, I thought we were after the first 6 innings of the first inter squad on Friday. I thought offensively we were outstanding. Certainly Saturday was a great day to hit with the wind blowing out, out of the south, which doesn't happen a ton this time of year, and balls were flying. And but over the course of 3 days, we hit 14 home runs, 9 of them on Saturday. But LaFleur hit 3 of them, and but beyond that, I'm looking down at the stats. Also, had 5 hits and 2 doubles, so 2 doubles and 3 home runs, and just great to see him get off to a good start. As you know, Ben, he hasn't gotten off to a good start. Last fall and early last spring, and even this past fall, didn't have a great fall. But a guy that comes in from that, I think that recruiting class is one of the highly touted prospects, a super athlete, a guy that was mostly first base out of high school. But because he's so athletic, we've pushed him to the outfield, and but offensively, just nice to see him, swing it like we've seen it in practice. Maybe translate more to live pitching. I think the thing that we've kind of harped on since he's gotten here, and I can't speak of any particular adjustment per se, but one of the things is he's just in my opinion just been late. Getting a good swing off, fouling too many good pitches off, too many balls where he just doesn't get to, and either fouls them down into the left field, area. Just a little bit tentative, a little bit late, and sometimes as they get older, they're a little more confident. And it's amazing. It's not sometimes as much mechanical as it is, confidence and mental and feeling good. And sometimes that just comes with age. We've watched others in the program, guys like Blackman, and guys like Sykes Orvis, others that later in their career started to put it together. Hopefully that's although he hasn't been here long, hopefully it's a sign of what's to come.
All right, we'll go to Parrish.
Mike, what have you seen in Cale Baker in practice? And I'm wondering if you think he can be more consistent this season.
And that's probably a great word for him. Is we need him to be that, and another guy that hasn't shown it much in inter squad games, but we know what he's capable of doing, and not just because of what we've recruited him and all his accolades coming in, but even in a short season of last year, he showed you the power and how he can change a game with one swing of the bat, but certainly has to be more consistent to play every day, and we need him to do that. Defensively, he continues to improve, but offensively in the games, like you mentioned, he's just too inconsistent. And Coach Clem, spoke to him a little bit. I think some of it's just approach. I think some of it's just he takes pitches that we feel that he should attack, and some of it I think is mechanical. And so they're going to work on both to try to make him a little more consistent.
Go to Nick.
I know you liked what you saw from Justin in the outfield a little bit last year, but just how is the transition to full-time outfielder working for him, and where do you see him needing to improve, if anywhere, defensively?
Well, I love that you put him in full-time outfield. We haven't officially done that, I guess. And I don't know if we will, Nick, to be honest with you, just because we need his depth in the infield. And so he will continue to take ground balls. I mean, I think we consider him both that, but I know where you're going. I mean, I said that on, the press conference on Friday, that, he's likely to be the, center fielder. And so, but so that kind of answers your question. We have all the confidence in the world that he can run out there. Now, he didn't do that in the fall. We left him in the middle of the infield and let him compete and battle it out. But now that we're less than 3 weeks remaining, we kind of split his defensive portions, some in the outfield, some in the infield, and not just daily, but but by the practice. I mean, there's days where during the defensive portion, he'll go with the outfielders. There's days where he stays with the infielders. And really, when they get some extra defense during batting practice where they can take live fungos, is where he goes the opposites, where he was, earlier in practice. So, but I think just being out there more, he seems to have that uncanny reaction to balls to where he just gets good jumps, takes good angles. But I think just being out there more. But I love even last year when we just ran him out there. Some infielders do that, and we've seen that in the past, and that's why we're not surprised that he's taken so that it's been so easy for him. But we're glad that it has.
Ben, go ahead.
Mike, outside the obvious, the home runs, what really jumped out to you in the first weekend of inter squads? What really stuck out?
I think just getting off good swings, being able to catch up to good velocity. I don't, looking back at the numbers, we didn't walk a ton of guys. Usually when you see that you walk more guys, and we really didn't do that. The truth of the matter is, which is a knock against the offense, I mean, we struck out 48 and 40 innings, so and we only walked 17. Now that's not, minuscule, but that's not crazy, where we've seen weekends where, you start walking over half the innings that you pitched, and that's bad. And so we're under that. So I just thought the guys got some really good swings off. And even on Sunday when it was a bad weather day, and even though the temperatures weren't bad, it felt colder than it was. I mean, the wind was blowing in, it was damp, it was overcast, and we continue to get good swings off. So when we do that, we're physical enough in the lineup that they can produce a lot of offense, quickly, and we saw that. The first, as I mentioned, the first 6 innings of the inter squads, really the offense was silent. I thought the opposite of that, where I thought the pitchers just kind of manhandled the offense, and then then they flipped the switch, and from that point on got a lot better swings on.
We'll go back to Nick.
In general, do you feel like your players are where they normally would be on the first day of February, or do you think that the bizarre summer is kind of still affecting what the guys are looking like?
I don't see that. And I don't know how you could quantify that anyway. It's just, I don't think we're not in shape. I think the pitchers are strong. One of the things I was thinking about during the press conference on Friday, and I'm thinking it was asked to one of the players, maybe to Doug, I'm not really sure, that I thought about it sitting off to the side, and it never really came up again. But to your point, the difference in the fall, I thought, for the pitchers, where we were able to pitch all guys, like with no hesitation of, a guy like Doug or Gunner or Diamond, and worry about, well, Diamond didn't pitch, but all those guys that would have been starters, where in years past, because of what they did in the spring and maybe pitching in the summertime, we had to hold some guys back, or maybe curtail their innings, so to speak. We didn't do that. We actually, the goal was to pitch them more. And so our guys, so I'm talking from a pitching standpoint, but that means more at bats. And so because we have more pitchers, because we pitched everybody that we could, and even extended their innings, we had a lot more at bats. And I think that certainly has helped the offense catch up from what you're talking about, of maybe a little bit of not having summer baseball, maybe a hangover from that. I don't see it.
Parrish, go ahead.
Mike, what do you miss by not having the SEC season last season in terms of evaluations? Do you miss anything in what you're able to really know about your team at this stage?
I think so. I think that's one of the things that nobody mentions. You know, we always mention the physical part. But looking at a little bit of few more players on the roster, but you know Austin Miller, Doug Nikhazy, but some of the guys that you were looking for to make some gains, that Ben mentioned earlier, like a Trey LaFleur. Like, those things you just they didn't get an opportunity. There's those at bats, those innings on the mound, guys like a Drew McDaniel that, which one of those young players, and not just freshmen, I mentioned the freshmen, but other guys that, they lose that year, they lose those at bats, they lose those innings. And I gave the example of, and not, it's probably not the best example to your question, but I think it's relative of a Tim Elko, who in our eyes, he's a superstar. In our eyes, we've watched it over 2 years, but in your eyes, or maybe, fans' eyes, they've only seen it in 16 games. We've watched him do it 2 back-to-back summers in the Northwoods League. We've watched him do it back-to-back falls, against our pitchers who we consider really good. He's kind of been a mainstay in our lineup, although when you look back into a media guide or something like that, you just don't see those numbers, in that case. So I think you're right. I think that's a big thing. It's harder to, I think one of the reasons I think these 3 weeks are so important is trying to figure out, and on our team, it's probably more so on the pitching end, where those pieces are going to fall in, who's going to be the midweek starter, who are going to be some key guys out of the bullpen. And so I say 3 weeks, but probably even into, the start of the season, where we're going to have to try to find some opportunities for some guys where, they haven't had, in the game yet.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. If you have any requests for players, just send them to me. And based on that, if we have a lot of requests for one guy, we can set up a Zoom. Otherwise, we can just do, phoners. So just let me know who y'all want to talk to, and we'll get it set up. Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.